So we're coming to the close of 2 days. It's been 2 really, really good days, I think. Really excited for this venue. It's been great. I always say wow when I get up here at the end of one of these conferences because I don't know what else to say. So there are a couple things that I want to say, I want to leave you with. The first is I want to thank our award winners. Our award winners are individuals that have kind of overachieved, I don't want to say overachieved, but certainly distinguished themselves in things like implementing or things like our research, and recognizing them is just a privilege for me. I particularly feel privileged that I was able to recognize Chema and JJ last night with our 2 biggest awards. I think those 2 individuals are so deserving, and again, it's just such a privilege for me to recognize them, not only for their contributions, but because they're such good friends. I want to say thank you to NCCER and Skills USA and the ACE Mentor Program. You know, I don't know whether you heard the Kayla up here tell us 300,000 current trade positions open in this country that can't be filled. 300,000, projected to go to 2 million by the end of 2017 by some organizations and some forecasts I've seen. I hope not, but at the same time I hope so. I actually hope it grows like that, and then we can fill those positions with well-trained people and young people coming into this industry. The demographics are catching up with us, and we need to do that. I want to say thank you to our next-gen leaders also. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but the next-gen leaders have been tweeting around. So I don't know how many follow. I don't even know what a tweet is, right? And so I'm obviously not part of the next generation, but I do know that I was sitting at the table with Stephen Knowles last night, and his son in Seattle got a picture of him up here on this stage as he was walking back and forth like this, and sent him a note. And so we've been out there. Social media is something we have to do. We just have to, and I appreciate what our next-gen leaders have been doing in helping us kind of come into the 21st century in the area of media. A couple of slides for you. Performance Improvement Workshop is our next activity. It's in Houston in October. I'll just put this up here. Obviously, you can go to our website and you can find out all about that. Oh yeah, 1010. I was reading an article, I won't tell you where, because it was the AARP monthly or quarterly summary or something like that, but I'm not that old, actually. Ravanna joined AARP. I didn't join AARP, right? Yeah. And the article, there was an article on Bob Feller. Everybody remembers Bob Feller, right? Pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, 20 years, Hall of Famer, maybe the first 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the major leagues. We all remember him, right? Remember stories of him? Yeah. Well, the way they measured Bob Feller's fastball was he was in Chicago, and he got a Chicago policeman on his Harley Davidson zooming past him while he was on the mound at 88 miles an hour. And 10 feet past him, Feller threw from the mound, and the race was on who gets to the home plate first, the Harley Davidson or the baseball, right? The baseball won by 3 feet, right? And they calculated based on that Bob Feller threw somewhere between 98.6 and 104 miles an hour. Okay? Now, my question for you for the 1010 program is, are you going to measure your performance with a motorcycle, with a Harley Davidson, or are we going to measure it with a 1010 program? It's a brand new program. It's an exciting program. It's the first program that we've seen that gives us somewhat real-time data for our projects, right? So remember Jim Gallagly talking about the drilling of the wells, long horizontal wells and all that. The biggest impact, the biggest innovation in the upstream industry in many years has been the ability to know what's going on at the drill bit and the rock interface so that we can move the drill down or we can move the drill up, right? And to be able to open up that long piece. And that real-time data is something that we need to do in this industry, and the 1010 program will move us significantly in that direction. So we need you all to participate. I really think it's one of those things that is going to revolutionize the way we perform projects over the course of the next 30 years. Oh yeah, remember this one, right? I'm one of these statistics. If you've been out on a construction site and gone home safely, you're probably one of these statistics too. 6 million people went home from the construction site based on the implementation of zero accidents. I calculated that without stopping at the doctor's office. Another 2+ million, almost 3 million people went home without stopping at the hospital and checking in, right, for a lost time kind of injury. So almost, well, 8+ million people went home safely because of the work you've done and the implementation of the research you've done in specifically construction safety. And again, I'm one of those statistics. I probably shouldn't be one of those statistics. I can't tell you how many stupid things I did back in the 70s on a construction site. So anyway, what a legacy that you have given this industry, and what an opportunity to continue. So CII Future 2013 to 2043. So we're going to be celebrating 60 years, perhaps in a new venue, right? Remember the innovation diffusion model we talked about? And the S-curve for innovation. So what does CII need to be doing? Well, here's the front-end planning. We did calculate, and we think we're pretty close here, 50% diffusion. So that means we've got to do more research. We've got to continue to promote. We've got to continue to publish front-end planning, because we've got another 50% of the workforce here in the U.S. This is just the U.S., 50% of the workforce that needs to start using front-end planning, right? We know that it has an impact. We know it can save billions and billions and billions of dollars as we move forward. So we're going to do that as an institute. The zero accident diffusion model, you can see what is it, 85% or so, we've calculated it's diffused. I don't know whether that's exactly right or not, but it's pretty close. We've been doing research and we've been publishing for a long time. We've been doing a lot of workshops. But the next opportunity for us perhaps is to take that S-curve and bump it up, right? So not just change the slope of the S-curve, but to actually start another S-curve. And we started that with what? With leading indicators, right? And then this year, hopefully you all went, or perhaps you all went, or some of you all went, or all of your companies went, and you saw the hazard recognition, right? So can you imagine 55% of the hazards out on a project we don't recognize when we walk out there? So what an opportunity for us to take that S-curve and move it up and really start to drive injuries to zero. And I think that's part of what the Institute's legacy is going to be in the next 30 years. We know zero is possible. We know projects, all of us know projects that have gotten to zero, right? If we can do it once, we can do it again. We can make it happen in this industry. We as leaders can do that. This says essentially the same thing. It says, these are the control charts that we've showed before, and it says that we have to change our work process in order to drive it further down. We can get down to 0.4 or so, 0.2 with what we've got, but to get to zero, we've got to change the work process. Same thing as bumping that innovation curve up, right? So that's exactly what the statistical process control charts are telling us. We're going to continue to do our part here. We need you to do your part in leading this industry towards zero. We can get there. I was thrilled with the title of Steve's. I didn't have my first cigarette till I was 13, so this couldn't have been me. actually thrilled with it. What a thought-provoking kind of idea. The integrity process with our young people, right? So integrity in our design processes. How do we keep the catastrophes, the Piper Alphas in the past, the Macondos in the more recent past from happening? And there's some theories about how we do that. I think we have to consider as an institute some of that research, right? We have to perhaps think about that, and we're going to throw that into the mix this next year. May take a little bit of time to work itself out or work itself into a research project, but I think it's a great idea, and it's an idea that we as an institute need to embrace. But there is something I was thinking about. We're 30 years old. There is something I was thinking about in reflecting on getting ready for this conference that I think all of us can do. Okay, so we've probably all had a mentor or two. I know I had to have at least one a year, and I could only keep them for a year because they didn't want me any longer. Maybe 2 years. Maybe I'm exaggerating. So I looked back and started thinking about him, and a guy by the name of Jim Seaman came to mind. Now, Jim was my first boss when I got out of Michigan State back in 1972, and we were in this little chemical facility in Michigan. I was a structural engineer, and I can remember very specifically that I had never designed an anchor bolt before, and I was getting ready to design anchor bolts, and so I was sitting there kind of struggling to figure that out, and I went home and was thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and I came in the next day, and you know how those little half tablets, you know, little pieces of paper that are like this, and you rip them off so maybe they look like this. I should have kept this. I should have framed it, but it maybe about that size. I looked down on my desk, and there was this half tablet, and there was a picture that he had drawn that night, and he was summing forces and summing moments and showing me, giving me direction how to design an anchor bolt. You know, I was only 600 pounds. I could have probably just picked, Hilti would tell me I could just pick anything that they sell me, and it would have done what I needed it to do. But here's a guy that was my boss that knew what I was doing and what I was working on, and I don't know whether he knew I was struggling with it or not, but the next day, there it was on my desk, and pretty soon I knew how to design an anchor bolt, right? There's another guy that when I left that little chemical company and I went to work for Amoco, and I came to Texas, there's another guy by the name of Lou Grasty, right? And Lou would take us young guys, and we'd go out in the field, and he'd walk with us, and he would give us a quiz. He'd look and he'd say, what way is the flow in that line flowing? And it'd be an orifice run, right? And so you'd look at the long side on the orifice plate, and that was the upstream side, and then, because you got to have laminar flow to go through an orifice plate. And he walked us around a plant, and he taught us a lot, taught us to open our eyes, taught us to observe. So I guess the question is, that's happened to me, and I could probably go on through the course of my career, and I could look at people who taught me this and taught me this and taught me this and taught me this. Somebody paid attention to me, and so what I want to leave you with is this issue of not recommended for children under 6, this issue of how are we going to get our young people, and maybe we don't have the exact theories and the exact research to apply, but we have ourselves to apply, and there's young people in our companies and young people in our organizations that we can mentor. And my challenge to you is, when's the last time you did that? When's the last time you walked around with a young 25-year-old field engineer and showed them kind of to open their eyes and what their job is all about and paid attention to them? So if you do anything this next 12 months before you come see us in Indianapolis next year, what I want you to do is find one of those young people and let's train them up, as Jimmy Slaughter says, and grow them and let them lead this industry when we're ready to leave. So I want to say thank you for being here. You guys are absolutely the best people in this industry, and I love you with the bottom of my heart. Thanks.